Welcome to part 8 of the new prepay system in Bookmanager. In this part, we're going to be discussing converting from your existing prepayment system to the new system. There were two ways that you could do prepays in Bookmanager before this new system. One was using the customer's AR on account area to place credits or payments on account, which would then be redeemed or used when the orders arrived. This was our recommended method because it didn't involve negative on hands and pre-selling something before it was at the store. This method also would record the sale on the date that the customer picked it up or it was shipped. So again, for things like forthcoming titles, it was reporting the sales figures and cost of goods sold on the proper date. Now, the downside of this whole thing is that any customer with more than a few prepayments or any sort of activity on their account, it could get quite messy. Also, any store doing trade credit, for example, used bookstores who had a trade credit system, they were oftentimes using, most of them are using the AR area to also record customer trade credits. So now you'd have a bit of a mess where a customer could have a prepayment for some books as well as some store trade credit all in the same pool, and then it's trying to pull them apart and figure out what amount is for which. So this is where the new system will allow used bookstores using trade credit to still use the AR area to record trade credit, but have a separate place to deal with prepayments and again have them kind of completely separate. So converting from your existing on-account system doesn't require all that much thought, but it is just a little bit of manual labor. And really the biggest hurdle at the beginning is assessing who has prepayments in the system that need to be converted to the new system. Now, a note on this whole thing, you can, if you want, choose to deal with this on a per customer basis. When existing prepayments come in, orders come in, and customers are picking things up, you can then, tender it on account, just deal with it like you used to deal with it. When customers are making new prepayments, you use the new system. So you can effectively use your old system and your new system concurrently. They'll work together fine, but this may require a little extra training and thought from staff. They'll have to figure out, was this using the old on account way or is this using the new prepay way? So a lot of our stores have chosen, or the test stores have chosen to go through and spend an hour or two converting all their existing prepays, their on account credits, to the new prepayment system so that it's all the same system and it's really simple for staff to digest. But again, you can keep your old system and let it flush itself out over months, weeks and months if you'd like. But I'm going to show you how to essentially convert over your existing credits on account to the new prepay system if you want to nip it in the bud right away. So the way I'd go about this is from the customer's AR area. So we want to go into 6 for customers and do an A for AR to look at any customer's AR activity. If you're on a customer that doesn't have AR, it'll pop up with this message, go to an account with AR activity. That just allows us to get to an account so that we can access the P for print menu. So we want to hit P for print and we want to do a summary list of all accounts. Now, for many of you, this list will be blank. You may not see anything in this area. So in which case you just need to hit U for update. And even if you see something in this area, we want to hit U for update because this list right here is as of a certain date. You can see I was last playing around with this on July 22nd, or someone was. And so I want to do a U for update. We can put a period ending date of today's date. We don't need to isolate any particular customer types. Include accounts with credit balances. This is where I'd want to set this to only. I don't want to see people who owe me money. I only want to see people with credit. So I'm going to hit O for only in that field. Only accounts with balances over or under. I can leave all this alone because again, I don't care about the date range. I just want to grab all my customers that have credit. And then again, small balances, we don't need to use this setting. So I'm just going to press enter and let the report do its thing. Now it's going to take a few seconds, so maybe I'll pause here and come back when it's all done. All right, so after a few minutes, my report has finished updating. If you have network stations, maybe running this report on your server station, it'll do it way faster, especially if you have a ton of AR activity for your customers. Ours, again, took a few minutes on a network station, and we have a lot of activity, a lot of schools. So again, it took a bit to go through it. So now we've got this list, but this particular area, it's not exactly friendly to work with here. We can't, press enter and look up a customer. It's basically just like a visual of all the customers with credit on account in the system. And I should be on this list here too. There we go. I've got a prepayment on here for test, but essentially all these customers are worth consideration for prepayments. So a lot of these could be prepayments. So what I want to do is load this list in an area where I can more easily work with it. And it's actually already done for you. So if I press escape out of here, and I keep escaping out of the AR area, and I get back to just the customers area, there's an F for filter command. So customer filters is kind of like the custom inventory reports of customers. You can filter down your customers, but when you go in here, you'll notice at the very top, there is an automatically updated and generated report called AR summary. This report here will be updated by running that AR report. So now it's found 201 entries, and if I press enter on it, I now get that list of all those customers that were on that list. So now I can work with it in a much more easy to digest and easy to use area. Now there may not be many actual valid prepayments here in our system because I think we worked at converting as many over as possible. So a lot of these will likely be actual credits for our customer, but that'll be the real challenge in this, just trying to pull apart what are customer credits, like things that are not prepayments, but perhaps returns or exchanges that you stuck credit on account for to do with your schools. If you're using the customer type here at the top, and you've got definite customer types. So like say customer type 1 is the default in the system for a regular customer. In our store's case, customer type, I think like 3 or something is our schools. A lot of the new stores are using like more obvious things like S for school or B for book club. That's where when we get through to this AR report and you're using the P for print and summary list of all accounts, when you update this, you could go down here and just put in, I want to omit my schools from this. So I'm just going to put in customer type 1 just to grab my usual customers. But again, that's all you had to have set those up beforehand. Anyway, back to the customer filtered list here. This is where I'd start at the top and try to determine if any of these things are prepayments. Typically what you'll see is an amount that will coincide with also an order or a held or something. So that would be some breadcrumbs to try to find this out. I'd look at this customer's account and find out, well, this customer, they have a credit, and it looks like, again, we've got a note that it's a credit, an old credit from, when there's 3 stars here, it's like really old. So this is like from October of 2018. So, over 1,000 days old. So this isn't a prepayment or anything. I don't have to do anything with this. For most of you though, you'll probably be able to find them quite easily from this list. So then I can hit page down after looking at a customer to get back to the list, and I can arrow down to the next one and figure out, do we have a prepayment, something going on? So this, again, customer looks like there's just a small credit balance from maybe the prepayment to actually what the book came in at. So maybe the book came in cheaper than what they originally checked out as or something. So Mosaic will be a bad example because we've gone ahead and cleared this up. So I'm going to just skip down to my name here because I know I actually have one that would meet the criteria. So if I look at my account here and I press enter, I'm going to see that I have a payment amount. And then under the new active area, I'm also going to see I have an active order. And under the orders area, I'm going to have an order as well. So this would be likely an indication that, oh yes, they have a credit on the account and they also have something on order or in the active area. So that's likely a very good candidate and likely a prepayment. So depending on how you work with the prepayments, I could go and press A for AR to bring up their account, and I could press 4 for point of sale on the credit, the prepayment or the credit they have. And then I could see in our store's case, whenever we did prepayments in the past, we would keep a record of what they prepaid for here. Sometimes we did, for online orders especially. But I can see that, oh yeah, it looks like they did do a credit on account, a payment for this book right here. And it was, this is the old system, so it's showing 1B, no total, nothing like that. I can deduce or just conclude that yes, this $25.20 was a prepayment for this book. So let's convert this credit on account over to the new system. And it's not so hard to do. What you want to do is basically get into the point of sale with the item that they have on order, or if it's a held sale, which I'll demonstrate in a second. I'll do another example where maybe they have something already to pick up and you want to convert that to the prepayment system. You can do that. But in this case, this is an item that is just on order. My suggestion would just be to copy the ISBN, click drag to highlight, right click to copy. I'm now going to bump right into the point of sale, start a new transaction, and I'm going to throw in the customer's name here using F5 to remember the last customer that I looked up. You'd also could search it. Alternatively too, I'll just bring this up. I could go here and find that original AR entry here. I could press 4 for point of sale to bring it up. If it was for an online order or you had mentioned the ISBN, I could just do a C for copy. So that's another easy way. But either way, you got to start a new sale with the customer's name. Got to get the ISBN in that sale, however you do. And then all we want to do is just change the status using the B for back order to prepay. So we're going to prepay the item. It's going to be a prepay issue. Since it's on order, it'll tell you right off the bat, it's not going to be red. It's not going to have the exclamation point. It's going to straight up show that it's on order. So all we have to do at this point is just go right through to the tendering. And if you've done everything right, your total should match what they have on file as a credit on account. If they have multiple prepayments, it won't match up, but once you've done finished converting everything to the new system, it will have used up all their credit on account, or it should. At least all the credit was earmarked for prepays. This is again where stores with trade credit, used bookstores, their customers may have a balance left over, and that will be their legit, trade credit left over after this whole system. So that would benefit them hugely, because then they can actually tell their customers how much trade credit they have and not, the combined total of their prepayments and trade. I'm going to tender this off just to credit redeemed, page up. And there we go. This one has been converted over. It seemed like it took a little bit to do this first one, but that's again because I'm walking through all the steps. Once you get in the flow of it, you can pretty much do this, 30 seconds or a minute per customer, because it's really just now toggling back to the 6 for customers, pressing the F for filter, pressing enter on the top one. It's already there. I can move on to the next customer, press enter, look at their AR, look at the original sale here. Now I don't see any titles listed on this particular one, so I'd have to figure out, do they have anything on order, or do they have anything, ready to pick up? So I could go back to 6 for customers, look at the history, the complete. I see again, we've got a pending order here under their AR area, some other things here, some invoices tendered. So again, it's going to take a little bit to figure out what's going on here. They had partial orders here. And then again, it looks like probably in this case, they did a larger order and then some of the books have arrived. So they had one part of their shipment arrive, and then a few other books arrived that they bought, and then some of it was put on account. And then they have still one more book on order, I think, for this. So this is probably where I would just say, well, everything else has basically been resolved. All we have to figure out is this latest one. They don't have any other things held. It's just this ISBN here that needs to be converted to a prepayment. And so what I would do at this point is go ahead and go into the point of sale, and I could copy an existing one or just make note of the customer's name, Tanya Nix, but I'm just going to basically look up this customer. Great. And then I could paste in the ISBN and I can prepay this item. And at this point, the total doesn't match up. There's been something going on. So as you can see in certain cases, and this is probably why we didn't convert this one over to the prepay system, because it's not actually maybe a prepayment, or maybe they used some of their credit or didn't take one of the books they ordered. This is where we've already gone through and kind of sussed them out, all the easy ones. Some of these harder ones you could leave the way they are, but most of them should be like my previous example, where it's kind of a one in, one out, very obvious. It's just a single title, but hopefully this gives you enough breadcrumbs to convert to the new system. The rule of thumb here is just to use that credit on account and converting everything to the prepay, so that when the book arrives, it's using the new system. One last scenario to cover with this is converting your existing helds, so prepaid helds, things that were prepaid that have arrived and are ready for pickup. And you can essentially convert that to the new system if you'd like, or as I mentioned before, you can let it essentially clear itself out over time, just organically. But if you wanted to get everything tidied up, do some housekeeping to make it all under the new system, it's as simple as grabbing the book off your shelf or just getting it into the point of sale. So here I have an example of a held sale, a pickup, and I can see that there's some credit on account for this pickup, and I can convert this to the new system. So the way I'd go about this is I'd basically edit into this and convert it to a prepay. So I'd hit E for edit, throw in my clerk code. Now I'd mark this item as a B for back order and choose to prepay the item. So I'd prepay it and I do a prepay issued. And then right now, this message comes up. Do you need a held invoice for them? And you'd say yes, because you want to create a held for future pickup. They're not leaving with the books right now. We are just, again, simply converting and getting our pickups ready under the new system. So I'm going to choose yes. And then I'm going to tender this to the on account. So when I do that, it's going to convert it over and it says 1 items were added. Now we basically have taken their credit on account, applied it as a prepayment to this, and then Bookmanager has automatically created that held invoice with the item ready for pickup. So if I look under the 6 customers account, under their active area, I can see there's a prepay redemption ready for pickup. It's under a held invoice. I can press tab and enter to bring it up. And you can see there's a held sale, the pickup portion of this ready to go for when the customer comes in with that $0 tender, because it's been converted over. It has a linking entry and it's all good to go. So this one is pretty simple, very fast. If you have a pickup shelf, you can blast through it pretty quickly, especially again, if your store policy was to prepay for everything, you'll just be able to kind of go alphabetically, just one by one, scan them in, edit, use the back order status to change it to prepay, and then tender it to on account. Hopefully that is helpful.